Welcome to Tower Gardening Made Easy, and I'm Sherry. If you're new here, thank you so much for coming by today, and be sure to tap that button below and continue to grow our community. Today we have a lot on deck. I want to go through the nursery with you. I want to go through the towers with you. There's so much change happening very quickly. And then I also want to then go ahead and take that zucchini that we planted the other day and fill out the other home tower that we found on the secondhand market. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this camera around, and we're going to go through the nursery, and then we're going to go through each tower as to what's going on and the differences between this week and last week. And then we will get into the planting. So here we go. Okay, so we're at the nursery, and you're staring at the zucchini plants as to how big they got. So you can see right now that they have their first two leaves, but then they also have their third little leaf. The one obstacle I think I'm going to have today is that I've noticed over the past couple days, waiting to do this video, is that the root system is quite large. I actually had to snip that one this morning because it was actually stuck underneath the tray. So that'll be okay. But see how it's kind of floppy? So I'm going to have to prop this guy up with something, but we'll get there in a few. But they are ready to go in. I mean, this one just looks beautiful with that third leaf. So I'm really, really pleased. We're just going to have to maneuver a little bit on how to prop these up. But I think as the root system grows into the tower, these little guys down over here, and I've noticed it with the other squash plants too, is that they're growing almost like surface roots. So they'll actually attach into the rock wall and they will stabilize themselves. But in the beginning, I think we're going to have to give them just a little bit of support, and that's okay. So let's give a little update as to what's going on with our seeds that we did out of the zucchini. So I haven't posted that video, and I will. This is the one where we dissect my husband's dinner. So this is just the update. Maybe we need one little light over here so you guys can kind of see. So they're still germinating. They're swollen for sure. And this guy over here, I can see a little something. And I don't want to pull it out and disrupt it, but there's definitely a little something going on. So they definitely look a little green on the tip. And that's probably where they're going to go ahead and sprout and grow their first little support root. But I think they need a little more time. So we're not going to rush them. We're just going to keep them right here on the warming mat with their cover. And I'm going to keep the vent closed to keep that greenhouse effect in full force. You know, kind of sweat those roots out of them, if you will. And then, of course, the new tower has a baby green section in it. And I just want to try a different kind of lettuce. So I did this the other day. I love the Boston Bib or the baby greens because they're super soft and you can put them into not only use them as salads, but you could throw them into stir fries and they just, the texture and the taste is really, really yummy. And it's not like iceberg where that's kind of crispy. So these guys is arugula. And I don't think I've ever grown arugula, so I just sprinkled in a couple seeds versus packing it down. And this is about, I want to say 48 hours old. I mean, I covered them with the vents closed and you can see that they already sprouted. So, I mean, lettuce is something that's super, super easy to grow. We don't have any root system, obviously, in the bottom yet. So we're going to have to just leave it here in the nursery. Today I decided just to uncover it, just to kind of give it a little bit of a breath. And, you know, I'll put the cover on it a little bit later. So here is the update on the new tray of strawberries. Now, remember, I grew these from seeds, which are, they look like a teeny tiny kernel of sand. So if you can see that on my finger right there, that's how big the seed is. But what I did discover, because you know me, I'm always poking at these things to see what's going on. There is a teeny tiny root that's right there. I probably can't see it because it's so small. But that is a good indicator that these guys are doing really well and they're nice and firm on top. And I would say maybe another week, maybe two, in terms of getting them in the tower. But we'll get there relatively soon. And I'm going to show you what's happening with those guys. That's really, really impressive. And I'm super, super happy with what's going on. So that's what we have going on in the nursery. I'm going to go ahead and probably plant a few more things um, over the weekend. I'm thinking about redoing the cucumber tower, and we'll get there in a moment to explain that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the bok choy and the watermelon tower. So the bok choy is coming along really, really nice. It's super firm and crisp. I don't have any yellowing, which means that the nutrients are perfect. pH is perfect. Even the stems are getting nice and thick. And it's just like a beautiful bouquet up here. The watermelon that we planted, was it last week that we planted into the tower? It is adjusted quite nice. I will take this one. I'm just going to adjust this. You can just get up nice and close and personal with this. And see that. Here we go, right there. You can see that the third leaf right there is starting to come in. So when you transfer something from the nursery to the tower, there is a transition period. So when we put them in, they only had the 2 leaves, but over the past week, the 3rd leaf came in. So I'm really very pleased with that. I was hoping for a little more growth, but that's okay. Again, the transition period happens, and then once the root system gets a little more developed, it will take off. So no complaints there. So we'll just back up a little bit and give you a nice look. They're all doing really well, and the trellis is hanging in there. Just really pleased. So, all right, so I'm going to walk you guys over to the bean tower. Now, here's some really good growth. I'm very, very happy about this. I'm going to go ahead and get the lights out of the way so we can kind of get in there. I was starting to get some brown leaves, and I'm going to show you an example in a minute, but let's do the positive stuff first. So if you can see right here, all over the past week, swivel you just a little bit, I had these little pods. And remember how we've talked about that beautiful purple flower that comes? Well, there she is. And these all turn into beans. They're just super, super lovely. And they are a little messy once they start to drop and to develop into beans. But in the interim, that's Mother Nature at its best. And it's just, it almost looks like, if you've ever gone into the woods, if you live up here in the Northeast, it almost looks like a lady slipper. Cute little story about that. So if my mom is watching, she'll think back and think of this. We went on a hike, and in New Hampshire, it is, I want to say it's their state flower. And I, as a kid, didn't know. And we're walking, and I was doing my own thing, and she was off doing her own thing. And I started to pick them. And it's like $100 fine for everyone that you pick. And I remember giving them to my mom and going, aren't they beautiful? And she freaked out because I didn't realize as a child you shouldn't be picking them. Now, obviously, I know, but I just thought they were so pretty. So it just, this little purple flower reminds me so, so much of lady slippers, which is an orchid. It's found in nature, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to back up a little bit so you can really, really get a good close look on this tower and how gorgeous she is. There's a lot of growth. The leaves have gotten huge, and they're just, winding and intertwining everywhere. So I want to show you a little bit of that browning leaf. And I honestly don't think it was pH, and I don't think it's nutrients, because we have the blooms. But what I will say, initially, when I first put them in, I want to show you this. On the edge of this leaf right here, and I'm trying to stretch a little bit so you can see, it was just a little bit of browning. So right there. And it was happening, not on all the plants, but some of the plants. And I was like, what is going on? I kept testing the pH. The pH was fine. It was right in that little sweet spot. But I think what happened is I had the lights too close. And so what I learned with planting out this tower with all beans and nothing else, this is just all, as you can see, 100% bush beans, is that they don't want the lights too close. They really want them. And that's where the difference, remember we talked about in the video, and I will post that, over here to the right so you can see. When you're buying a secondhand tower, whether it's through eBay or Facebook Marketplace, be aware, because on those older towers, the lights are not as stiff. So for instance, if this was a secondhand tower with older lights, They don't stay. They tend to kind of glide back in. So with the newer towers, they're much more firm and they will stay out so that you don't burn your leaves. So I really do think that that was what's going on. I do have a leaf over here that has a little bit of yellowing, and it is up on one of those sticky things on the tower, those little clips that we talked about. But I think that that's because it's behind all of these leaves. So I think if I adjust this light, I probably just pick it off. It's not really a big deal. There's only one, and it's, well, maybe there's one down here. But a couple of yellow leaves isn't the end of the world. So, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But what I do love is that I've got those purple blooms everywhere in the tower. So that just means that 99% of this tower is healthy, and it's natural. You're going to get a leaf or two that's just going to not want to do what it wants. But you can see at the very top, see how it's trellising up into here. You don't want it wrapping around the lights. It's probably not a good thing. So none of them are doing that yet. And if they do that, I have two choices. I can either pinch them back, or I can just try to wind it down into the trellis a little bit and just let them do what they're going to do. That's why I wanted to do this whole tower in beans, because I didn't want it wrapping around summer squash or zucchini or tomatoes. I want them to do their own thing. And that's what I did. All right, so let's move on. So if you watch the video, removing the mammoth plant, that summer squash that was right here, all the way around, we've got some light. Now, obviously, we don't have those seeds ready, and we're going to give them a little time to germinate over in the nursery. And if they don't do anything, then I'll probably just ditch them and put the other seeds in. It's not a problem. It was an experiment. We wanted to try it, and I'm happy to do it. But everything else here is doing really, really well. I've got some beautiful male flowers here. I've got some pollinated summer squash right there. Make sure you guys can see that. Right here and here, looking super, super healthy. All of these leaves look like they're super healthy. This little guy down here to the right, there's a little bit of yellowing, but so this is how I can explain that. This is where we removed a lot of leaves. Okay, this is that older. So I have a feeling that it just got a little stunted. There is some growth that's happening on top. Let's get a good little picture of that. You can see right in here, there's all kinds of new growth, with either male or female flowers. And these top leaves are super, super healthy, but there's a couple that are yellowing. So I'm going to just chalk that up to a little bit of, shock from me removing so much. So not concerned at all. And then down below, I'm going to go ahead and move this light up so we can really get in there and see. This is one of those plants that was completely shadowed out. So let's just take a look at that for 1 second and just see if we can learn a little bit. So this was shadowed by all of that top part that was above. And see how I actually have blooms? Those kind of came in this week. And then there's a whole new section right here. There's no female. Well, maybe there is right there and right there, but it's just way too young. But I'm really happy that the leaves look healthy and the blooms are coming in. That's just a really good sign. So let's go on over here. Try to get under here. Tilt you up. There we go, right in there. So in here, we have lots and lots of blooms. These all are male that have opened. And again, this is one of those plants that was shadowed out. And we're just, we're waiting for some new growth to happen, and it will. So I'm going to bring you guys back up so you can see some pollinated. There we go. Some pollinated summer squash all in there. Those are all pollinated. And then you got some new growth up in there that's not open as of yet. So we'll get to that. So I'm going to take you guys around in the back. Flip these lights up so we don't kill ourselves. And here, it's a little bit taller. Right in there, we have another big summer squash right there that's pollinated. And then this one I pollinated yesterday, these two. So looks like this one is good to go. This one I'm still waiting on. These guys are still new, some new growth there. So not concerned. You know, it happens. You're going to lose a couple here and there. So I'm going to try to scoot you guys through the wires, go around the tower, and see if I can't get in. I really want to show you the zucchini. They're deep in here. I don't know. There's one right there. I think it's back here. I feel like I come down every morning and it's like a treasure. I have to dig underneath, and there we go. It's deep in there. So it's kind of underneath. So let me just see if I can't. I'll lower you just a little bit, I think. And lift these leaves. Yeah, I don't know. Without hurting them. Well, there's one right there. So there's two. There's two big ones. All right. So this guy right here is the zucchini. You can see this is pollinated. This is a massive flower. And she's just super, super pretty. So if I lift this leaf and then I kind of tuck that one out of the way, there's one in the back. Let's see if I can't just point to it. So it's right in there. So I've got two big ones, but I know this one's pollinated for sure. I'm about 70% on that one. I wish there was just a little more growth because that would be the indicator that it's good to go. But this tower is really healthy, and I've been pulling out. So with the baby greens, so let me just talk about that for a quick second. I want to show you something. I'm going to just angle you up. So the baby green section, and then move the lights out just a smidge. With this baby green section, I like to put a lot in the rock wall when I'm planting. And so when I go ahead and make a salad, I usually just pull the whole thing out, because when you try to separate it and cut it, it's so entangled. So I have some bald sections. So if I move you over here, you can see how I've been kind of clipping away. And lettuce grows so fast. People say, why don't you just, trim what you need? I just find that if I just grab a whole, it's like a whole head of lettuce, and I've only planted the two top. That's underneath here isn't that great. So the top stuff is really what I want. I just toss it. It's really not a big deal. And then it gives me an opportunity to put some fresh stuff that I'll plant probably over the weekend. But I have plenty. And then I just planted that whole area over there with the arugula. So I'm just looking for a little bit of a change, but I do really like this. But I have plenty, as you can see, all the way around. Plenty, plenty, plenty. And even on that side too. So I have a lot. So let's just get right into the tomato tower. So I think I mentioned in a previous video that I did a little bit of trimming, and I did. So you can see that there's some big tomatoes right there, and there's some beautiful clusters. I'm going to bring you in close so you can see them right in there. They're not red yet, so we still got a ways to go. But there's tons of these little clusters of the dwarfed tomatoes, and they're going to be either red or orange. So I'm super psyched about that, and I feel like this tower is incredibly healthy. But I will say that the next round that I will not do that halo. So I actually had to cut a little bit of the stems just to hang on to a few of the big guys. But what's happening is that every time water turns on, these guys haven't, I guess the word would be cauterized. They haven't cauterized off. So I have a towel down here because I'm losing some water. And then I just go, well, I got concerned about that. But then I thought about it, I like to rotate my water. So if I lose a little bit and I have to mop it up, not the end of the world, because then I'd rather put some fresh stuff in there with some new nutrients to keep it going, keep the blooms going. So I'm not really concerned. But yeah, so she's just really full of some really beautiful, beautiful clusters, in there. Look at that huge cluster all in there. And then down in here, there's more. So, I'll be picking them as I need them once they're ripe. Up there's some more. And there's some on the back side too. So let's move on. I'm going to just readjust those lights real quick. Here we go. I'm going to back up a smidge so you can see Cousin It, this mammoth pepper tower. And she's gorgeous. So I was in here this morning and I was in there with the toothbrush because the fan works and I'm not around like yesterday. But I feel like if I go in there and I just tap each flower with the toothbrush, not that you can see it, but at least I'll demonstrate it. Here's the graded toothbrush. Here's a new flower. All I do is just tap it and a huge amount of pollen came off of it. And same here. They're very, very easy to self-pollinate. Again, the fan works wonders, but sometimes just hitting it with this releases enough pollen so that it will self-pollinate, and then you get the beautiful peppers that are just everywhere. So let me just show you that up close. They're everywhere. They're still relatively little, but they're there. And again, these were the dwarfed red and orange. And down below, just see if I can't tip you guys up a little bit. I know there were some big guys down here. Here's a real big one right there. I would say that should be hopefully turning color soon. But I think he's the biggest. But if you just lift in here, there's not only tons of blooms, but there's just little peppers everywhere. Here's another big cluster in there. It goes all the way around. So right there. There's some right there. So I'm going to have a lot of peppers. When I planted this whole tower out, I used the baby green section and planted every other baby green section, leaving one section on the bottom. There's another one. There's another one. And I mean, I'm going to have peppers for a long time, but I enjoy them. I love them. And they're actually a very good source of vitamin C. So that's something that we need as we age. We've got a little leaf here, not a big deal. And then they go all up in there. So, I mean, it's just really, really, I'm so impressed with this tower. I really am. They're everywhere. And it seems like these little flowers are super, super hardy, but even tapping them, you'll get some pollen out of them. I will say it does make me sneeze. Here's another big one. So let's see if I can get you guys in there. Let me angle it down a little bit. There she is right there. Super, super pretty and incredibly yummy. So let's come on out of here and come on over here to our fabulous strawberry tower. I'm no longer frustrated. I feel like we're making some really good progress. And she's gorgeous. So I'm going to get right in here to where the flowers are. So I did a video, and I can post that here, of the strawberries. And I'm going to go and get my little brush. And since then, make sure you can see this. Since then, there are a bunch of flowers, but the most important thing I want to show you right here is this is a pollinated strawberry. Okay, this is that last leaf to kind of fall off within that 72-hour window, and you can start to see the base of where the strawberry is going to grow, and that's the point. It's nice and dark, and it's got a little bit of marking, so that's how we know. Here's another one. I think this is the original one, so there's actually a little bit of growth. It's going to tilt you a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Maybe not. Doing this with one hand so you can see right there. A little bit of growth there. And each day I'm seeing more and more flowers pop up. So I come down and just kind of gently come through here. And here's a bud right there. And I think not only is this pollinated, but right here, there's two more flowers that will pop. And then nice and deep in the back is one that I pollinated this morning. So I'll just give it another little swipe. And you don't want to be too aggressive with it, but you want to make sure that you're mirroring across the top of those tiny, and I really need my glasses, but I'm doing this. I feel confident that it's pollinated, but I just want to show you guys on camera. So in 24 to 48 hours, those little petals will fall off. And I know down here there's more, but they're not open yet. So there's a cluster there. Here's one. This is a double. You ever seen those strawberries that have the double bottoms? So that's this guy. And you can already see the petals starting to get kind of gross, and it's pollinated, and they will fall off. So I just gently lift through here and check for more. So again, he's good. Here's another set of blooms right there. And I think I saw one on the back side. So they all have the, at least on this side of the tower, let's see if I can lift that light a little bit. They've got blooms. Here's one right there. So it's not 100% open. Well, kind of. Well, yeah, no, this is pollinated because the leaves fell off. Again, I need my glasses. Hold on. So all of you out there who are over 50 and have had relatively good vision your entire life, if you need readers like I do at this point, I feel your pain. So yeah, you just want to go across. Hopefully you guys can see me. I think you can. Yeah. And angle you. So yeah, there you go. There's another one that's pollinated, different plant too, which I'm very excited about. So they're all in here. So I just kind of have to go through the plant very, very carefully and adjust my glasses so I can see from a distance. But I just carefully go in there once or twice a day and see what's going on. So I'm very, very pleased. And I do think that the strawberries that are over in the nursery another week, and then I'm going to be putting them around. I've got some empty space. Like that guy down there didn't make it, so we'll get rid of him. And then I've got some empty spaces over here and here. And here and here. So that'll be a few of them. And then I'm going to try over in here. I'm going to try to get them up into the baby green section. And I think that'll work. It'll be just fine. So let's adjust some light so we can just keep those flowers going, keep the strawberries growing, and come on over here to the mammoth cucumber. I don't even know what to call this. It's not even a tower anymore. Tower with two extensions. So I harvested this one cucumber the other night. It was very, very yummy, very sweet. Even my husband commented. He said, geez, they don't taste like grocery store cucumbers. They taste very, very sweet. I'm like, I know, because there's no chemicals on them. There's no pesticides. There's no herbicides. There's nothing on them. They're completely organic. And when you grow your own food, that's all I can say. When you grow your own food, or at least have you try to, it's going to taste different than the stuff you buy in the grocery store. That stuff is so processed. I don't know how to explain it, but once you do this, it's just going to have this very magical taste to it. So there are lots and lots of cucumbers. Like I said, I've got this one. He's coming, and we've got over here. And in the very beginning, when I had this in the other room, I thought I really had to spend a lot of time with the self-pollination. But honestly, I take a chair that's from the table, and I set it up with a fan so the fan blows. So if you look here, just pretend where you're seeing is where the chair, and a fan is blowing on this right front center, even the back a little bit, and slightly shaking it. It's pollinating. So I have all kinds of new cucumbers. This whole cluster is pollinated, and I did nothing. There's a female flower here, and because there's so many blooms, that it's doing it on its own. So I'm just leaving it alone. There's a cucumber there. There's a whole cluster over here. I really do think that airflow is the key to this self-pollination, because if it was outside, the bees would be assisting, but the air is doing it as well. So there's some under here, and I want to, and down over here. I mean, there's a mammoth one right there. So I'm very pleased with this. It's not as pretty as some of the other towers, I will say that, but because of all the dead flowers that kind of hang on. And then, of course, you have that top. It's all celery, and I love celery. It's so healthy for you. It's beautiful. I got another one down here that's just starting from. This was just a leftover piece of. And look, it's not even in a rock wall, but it's growing. So I just leave it in there, and it gets wet, and the new leaves are coming, and eventually these outer things will break off, and I'll throw them out. But I just come down here and I clip a couple stalks for my salad, and it's good to go. That looks like it needs to be trimmed a little bit, these leaves. So do that. So I'm constantly over here picking at it, whether it's celery leaves or cucumber leaves or vacuuming up blooms. So that's what's going on. I think at this point we need to turn the camera around, and we need to plant out the the tower. What do you guys think? I think we should do that. I think we should go ahead and start this up, turn the lights on, adjust the lights, and get the zucchini in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. Hey guys, we're back. So we're going to go ahead and plant out these zucchini plants that we just showed you in the nursery just now. So we're going to go ahead and put them in this tower. We've got a couple little issues with some of them where they're very tall. They're very leggy, and the root, it's aggressive, but there's a few that I think we're going to have to prop up. So we'll do that as we go. I'm going to start with the first one, which is already in the tower, but I want to show you what I'm talking about. Okay. We played around with this one in the very beginning of the video. And of course, now it doesn't want to come out. All right, here we go. All right, so this root, as you can see, it's pretty good. I don't, have an issue. I think this is going to do very well. But the problem is the top. It's very leggy, and the roots that are here, that on the top of the rock wall, it just needs to go, and it needs to connect down to stabilize it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in, and we're going to use recycled rock wool to support it up. So I have two pieces that are right here. So basically what I did was I took one whole cube and I ripped it in half. And it really just needs to be completely propped up all the way around. So I'm going to start from the bottom first. And then I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I'm going to put this little piece in the back. Actually, the bigger piece in the front. Here we go. And then just kind of roll it over. And then I'm going to use this one just to kind of give it a little more. So I'm just kind of like making a collar, if you will, around the stem. It's just very tall and very leggy, and it will grow down and around underneath that rock wall. So I think that will be okay. I'm going to move this light so you guys can see. Swivel this around. So there's a few more in that bunch that are like that. So we're going to have to just sacrifice. Actually, there are some zucchini plants that did not sprout. So we'll go ahead and pick that seed out and just shake out the vermiculite and use that for the top pieces. So let's get another one. So this one is nice and sturdy. Okay, this one is not floppy. And as you can see from the bottom, the root system is beautiful, all tucked in. So we'll just pop her up here. And the other thing I like to do too is eventually that the stem is going to grow down. Okay, it's kind of grown to the back. So I'm going to put this side to the back of the tower and give it an opportunity to actually grow a little bit forward. But it's impressive as to how tall they got so fast. So I'm going to give this guy who's real tall down here. And I actually may give a little support to that one. So just hang on. I want to show you this. So here's one where we planted and the seed is still in the bottom. It did nothing. I've kind of checked around and it's just a seed that didn't germinate. And it happens, but we're going to use this. We're going to recycle it. So it's a little wet, so I'm just going to rip it in half. I don't think this one needs too much, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. They're just very leggy. And I just want to give it that little extra support as it continues to grow because it's just going to flop over. So all right, here's a real bad one. I mean, literally, it's just laying on its side. It's so leggy. So, I mean, maybe we should have planted these a little while ago, but that's okay. We'll make do. But we're definitely going to have to use that trick. And I'm going to have to do, I mean, like a half a cube. And just really kind of mush it in there just to get it to stand. And actually, I'm going to lay that piece just right there. So it's kind of against the tower. Maybe just let it come just a little bit. You know, maybe in time I'll pull that little piece out. But for right now, I just need it to really support itself and grow the root system down. And here's beautiful. You know, this is just absolutely gorgeous. Just some little plastic beads from the little housing. We don't want those in the tower. I don't really think this one needs any support, so I'm okay with just go ahead and putting that. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just pop that one there. But you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I just will give it just a little support, just a smidge. So here's another one that didn't take. So I'll rip it in half and recycle it. Oh my gosh, it's so warm from being on that warming mat. Just a little bit. Maybe I'll go this way with it, just to kind of give it to the top. So that's good. Okay, here's a bad one. We'll do the bad ones first. So again, it's nothing that we did, or I did, I should say. The root system is all covered. And so it just got real tall, real heavy, and we can fix it. No problem. So I'm going to do, let's see, like that. And we're going to get some rock wool. Here's one piece. Nice and thick. And I'm going to kind of give this just a little bit of a, I don't know, just a little bit of a shove down there. Not too much. Well, I'm going to break it. Ooh, it's really wet. There we go. And give it a little support. Spin it just a little. And we'll keep our eye on it, obviously. But that's how you fix that. I mean, you could probably take, I've seen people do this too, with a noodle. They take those flotation devices that are called noodles and they cut them and they make a collar. So you could do that as well, but I don't have those, so I'm just using what I have. So let's go ahead and get another one. All right, so this one's perfect. It's standing up on its own, completely covered in roots. Looks gorgeous. So we'll put this one over here. But you know, it's top heavy. So I'm going to go ahead. Why not? I'm going to save myself the hassle of having to deal with it later, and we can just deal with it now. Just a little bit, you know, just a little extra support. Be kind. I also like to, if you see any seed cells, say that 10 times fast, seed shells that are down, seedlings, I don't know what you want to call them. They're just in the way down there, get them out because it's just something that's going to degrade in time, and just pick it out. All right, so I'm going to plant that one. This one's going to need a little support. I'll prop her up. Go. I think that'll be all right. Swivel this a little bit. Okay. This one is perfect. This is a 10. You got the perfect third leaf right there, and then the full root system right here. And then you have those weird things at the bottom that came from the it's from the greenhouse. They're like little dots from the bottom of the where the water flows out. So what do we got here? I'm going to pop her here. I don't really think that she even needs any extra support, so I'm just going to leave it alone. All right, so what do we got? We got a little bit of a leggy one here. So I'll go over here in the back and pop this one in. This is going to need a little support. That looks good. And I'll circle this at the end so you can see the full back, but I'm really just trying to space them out. Go. Pop this one. This is perfect, not too leggy. But you know, it's probably going to get tall, so I've got extra rock wall over here. And this one actually has a seed in the bottom, but I don't see anything sprouting. So let me just, oh, I think that one was just a little delayed. Let me just see if I can't squeeze that. Nope, that's okay. Wasn't doing anything. I think it tried to do something. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little support. Oh, got white on that one. Squeezed it. A nice root system here. Beautiful, beautiful. So let's come on over here and pop her there. Looks really good. Yeah, I'm loving it. She needs support. Let me just look. No, I actually think that's going to be all right. All right. This is a little stiff one. Ooh, all right, come on out. This is just textbook of roots. Just amazing. And we're going to pop that up there. Looks good. And this one's got a little C on the bottom I'm going to pick out. Good. And we'll probably have to prop this one up. So we'll put this one over here. Little rock wall in front. It'll come forward. And we got two more over here. This looks really good. I'm going to put a few on the bottom. Swivel that to the back. And I will support that one. And I've got an extra one down here that didn't do anything. So I'll just go ahead and pull that apart. I don't think this needs a big piece, but we'll just go ahead and I'm going to actually just rip it a little bit. Ooh, water. They're wet, that's for sure. And I got one more. All right. We're going to put this guy. One there, we have one there, one there. I guess we could go here. Swivel this to the back and give a little support. So here we go. Good. You may have to put a little piece in the back. Just a smidge right there to support it. So I've got one. Just see what's going on here. It's kind of a late bloomer. Looks like it's going to pop. So with these aggressive seeds, you can just see that it's just popping. I'm going to just stick it in there and see what happens. I actually think it'll probably be okay because it's one of those aggressive seeds. So why don't we go ahead and put this one right there, because it will be right there with the bright lights. Let me get a cloth. Hands are wet. So, okay, so that's where we are. So we've got an extra one here. And so we got one, we got two, we got three. Now, notice that I didn't plant anything right here. I'm going to leave this one right here because I have a feeling I'm going to need that for room. So I really only have two net pots that are available, excuse me, three. So I could probably go ahead and plant a couple more and stick them in at a later date. But we got the majority of it planted. And remember, we planted extra, so that's okay. So we ended up with just, you know, a good bit of plants. So I'm really happy with that. Give this a little bit of a white. It's got some vermiculite on it. And I'm so grateful for this tower. This tower is brand new. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this was sitting in someone's garage in the boxes, the original boxes, and never used. It's so crazy to me. But that's okay. All right, so I had added the water into the tower earlier, and I added the nutrients. Now I want to test the pH, and if we need to do up or down, we're going to go ahead and do that now. So I have my meter right here. Love this thing. It's off, so I'm going to stick it in the water. I'm going to turn it on, and it's reading 7 1/4. So I like to do it twice. Try it off. It's reading 7.18. So it's too high. So we got to get the down. And with our water, this is really the only one that I use. I've never had to use the up. So I'm going to just do 1 cupful, and we're going to stir it, and then we're going to test it again. Do 1 cupful at a time, never any more than that. 1 cupful. Then I like to take the cover that goes on the tower, stick it in there, and give it a swirl. Put that aside. And again, this is off now. Give it a wipe. Put it back in the water. Turn it on. Okay, so now we're reading at 7. Turn it off. I like to do it twice. Take the average. Okay, now it's reading 6.92, 6.83. It's coming down, 6.67. I don't know. So let me just do this. Where you're unsure, do it a third time. Dry it off. Okay, so now it's reading 6.43. I actually like that. I like to keep my pH between 6 and 6.5. So I'm going to leave it alone. I will test it in a day or two to see where we are. And if it needs a little bit more, then I will adjust it. But you're better off leaving it alone versus putting too much in there, because then you'll have to go in the other direction to correct it. So at 6.43, I'm totally okay with that. All right. Nutrients in, covers on. Cover always needs to stay on. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this guy into the timer, which is in the wall right here. And it is set to 1. Indoor towers are always set to 1. And I will go ahead and plug in my lights and go ahead and get them started as well on their cycle with everybody else that's in the room. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the plant out, and we will keep an eye on these guys. This whole thing is nothing but the zucchini. In the top part, we're going to go ahead and probably put some arugula that's in the nursery that we looked at earlier. So we'll see you soon.